Most people don't fail because they lack motivation. That is a surprising statement. You think that motivation is the key driver. Actually, the real truth, they fail because they lack structure. Greetings, beautiful soul family. Welcome to this evening's presentation.
Too much to talk about.
And we are talking about the Making Champions program for 2026. The new program that is really emphasizing structure. Motivation has been a real overplayed word. I've spoken about enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is not motivation. Enthusiasm is born from structure. And in all the things that I've taught over the years, and I've enjoyed all the discussions that I've had in looking at micro components of the whole system of being per se, it's dawned on me to come up with a system. It's dawned on me to come up with a structured system that people can go, okay, I get it, I see it. I can follow the blueprint. I can follow the map. I can see where I am in the territory. I can gauge my growth. I can see where I'm falling. I can see what part of the structure is giving way. Now, the structure is really based around the concept that I was speaking about many years ago about being the transcending Olympian. The Olympian mindset. If you look at how Olympians train, they don't take things for jokes. Like, they're consistently training. They don't stop training till forever and ever and amen, just to get a chance to perform at the Olympics once every 4 years. And the amount of pre-season training they got to do in the pre-season races or the pre-season qualifiers for whatever thing that they're doing, they're constantly refining the diet, their exercise regime, their rest regime, their hydration regime, their whole concept of togetherness and holding it together so that when they reach on peak performance, when they're ready for that Olympian burst at the time of the Olympics, they've already got the reticular activating system and the neurological pathways that they've been programmed. Yeah, I'm going to win this. I'm standing right next to Usain Bolt, but guess what? That don't fear me right now because the amount of training that I've gone through, I'm cutting through. And guess what? If I get second next to Usain Bolt, I am a real champion. Much less if I beat him, I'm double champion now. So this process of becoming a champion is not to prove becoming a champion to anyone else but yourself. Because why? It is a duty. It's actually a spiritual duty for you to become the best version of you and become legendary in your status, in your being. In other words, in your uniqueness, there is something really special about you to tap into. And now I really want to take this away from a fanatical or a religious or a sort of God concept kind of thing. And if you wanted to bring it there, we can easily comfortably go there. But outside of that, we can scientifically verify exactly what it is that I'm talking. We can quantify it down even to a verified science. There's many sciences that back this formula that I've created, or this system that I've put together. It's not something that is just kind of, I've just come out with some random things, but I've looked at principles from esoteric teachings from ancient times that still resonate right through to today's concept and way of life, way of how you propagate yourself in your duty towards yourself and your process of being. So that Olympian is always, it's not about 4 years time. It could be tomorrow. It could be in the next moment. Have you got that Olympian mindset to deal with it, to be better than you were the moment you were? They say in life, it's not the situation that reveals the man, it's what he does in that situation. So that process of becoming, rather, regardless whether it looks terrible or great, your process of becoming, they say a thief don't thief in broad daylight. It's like when no one's watching. So what are you like when you are on your own? Are you building or are you breaking yourself down? Are you stealing from yourself? Are you destroying yourself through concepts and thought habits and processes of being? And the deepness of how this thing works is what I've managed to identify in the process of putting this thing is this architecture of 3 levels with 7 pillars, and they're constant. So when you deal with health, the 7 pillars that are brought to look at, they are non-negotiables. They are non-negotiables. Like the first pillar, hydration. If you don't have hydration right, all the pillars are gonna come crumbling down. All the mindfulness, all the spiritual, all the pillars are gonna come crumbling down. It's simple. So we're going to be looking at every single module of each 7 pillars in deep lectures. So we can understand it not just from a biological or physical point of reference, but a physiological, a mindful, and spiritual. I'm going to be opening the entire tank on each pillar right throughout the year. This is not a 2-week quick fix program. We have to live daily. The idea of progress is a daily prerequisite upon us. And you look at it and goes, boy, Tarun, you're always enough. You always come with this. Why can't it just be 7? Like 3 times 7, that's 21. That's why is that, we don't have time to do 10 things. Well, the truth is there are 21 areas in where energy leaks within your life. And if you don't address any of these crucial 21 points, they will destroy the efficiency and the effectiveness of how everything else runs, depending on how high and efficient and how purpose driven or the lack of it that you're running. So if you have an energy leakage through these 21 portals of being, which I can prove you have these 21 portals, and how everything from what you put into your mouth to the environment to what you think to how the whole thing is interconnected. They all play a part. It's not just that it's isolated to that, but it's like when you're going, for instance, imagine you have a Bugatti car and you don't have the car keys. Where you going? You're not going in. You got all the capability in the car, but you don't have the keys. Much less you have the keys, but you're scared to drive the car. Now, most of the times, this is how we run ourselves. This is how we defy ourselves very often, daily. It doesn't have to be a spiritual connotation. This could just be purely based on understanding how these pillars work. And without health, stability, discipline becomes a major fight. You've got aches, you've got pains, you can't concentrate, your energy's all off. And that idea of being rhythmical, your whole circadian rhythm is off. So then your energy to apply yourself to appropriate things is off. So now you're walking discombobulated in your own body. You want to do one thing and your body wants to do something else. Worst case, if your health is suffering because of a simple thing like lack of sleep, the amount of turmoil that could affect the whole entire way of how the system works would be a nightmare. Trying to create discipline while you got a lack of sleep is a big problem, a major problem. The brain won't even be able to function. The whole body is going to be like in turmoil. So these pillars, like I'm saying, they are really life principles that are non-negotiable. And when you look at the whole system, you see how the whole thing works. So without discipline, you can't even step into the next realm of mind. So without mind training, emotions drive decisions because you have no control over the neurological activity that is happening in your brain. It's running you. You are no longer running the program. You're just observing what's happening in your brain and attaching an emotional energy to it. Rather, there's no heart consciousness involved. There's no intellect. There's no critical thinking. What's happened over the last 5 to 7 years that I've noticed really drastically is that the ability to work from insight, hindsight, and foresight has gone right out the window. Foresight. No man, people, the boy, we can't things tough nowadays. We can't even think more. We can't even, now we just have to just. So people are giving up on dreams and ideologies of building futures and really gone into like survival mode and scarcity thinking and all of these things where they're watching the narrative and watching brain activity, watching the narrative and so forth. And there is something specific and scientific that's going on in that loop. It's not just, oh, I'm emotionally caught up. There's actually something happening which has been scientifically identified, recognized, labeled, and above, definitely above cultural reference, but above common law man's understanding. But it's there. So we go deeper, and when we realize without spiritual principles, life becomes reactive and fragmented. So these three concepts, if you want to call it that, at this stage, like I said, there are 7 aspects to these things that are really non-negotiable, and they're really important to address and align your thinking and energetic attention to these things about you, because the more that you deal with these energetic portals or energetic aspects of self, the more you automatically want to play the game of life in a positive way that leads you towards a legacy. You're almost automatically pulled in a notion of bliss towards your outcome rather than struggling and fighting and thinking, why is this happening? What's going on? And these pillars, ultimately, when these pillars are broken, when these pillars are not attended to, when these pillars are ignored, life consistently becomes a rescue mission. It's like every minute there's a drama to save yourself from, to save somebody else from, to save this from saved. And there's a habit that's been built up as you're doing this. And the habit is a deep programming to keep destroying the pillars. Even though you might have all the intention in the world to address these pillars unconsciously, but the fact that you haven't labeled them out, the fact that you haven't structured them, the fact that you haven't put your eye on them to say, okay, that pillar there, that one there, that one there, that one there. Okay, 7 things to keep your eye on. Right, I've got that locked. The idea is when you have these things locked in such a way that you're not even thinking about it no more. It's second nature. It's like when you first started to have driving lessons. for those who can drive. You got in this, you have the steering wheel to deal with, the clutch to deal with, the gear stick, the indicators, the mirror, the this, the other drivers on the road. And that's what it kind of feels like. Like, how do I juggle? But because you had the will and the wanting to drive, you was willing to go through all the errors. The, lucky the instructor had a spare clutch and brake there, guiding you through the process. But you was willing and you was willing until you got to the rhythm. You took yourself from unconscious ignorance or unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence to conscious competence to unconscious competence through willpower. Because you say you want to drive, and no matter how many times this, that, there's no emotional attachment to it. But the ideas of drilling down the pillars of recognition to what it is so you can drive freely. Now you drive, you can't remember what gear you was in at this. You don't, you just have float through the thing. So these pillars are really serious to really pay attention in getting right, because once you get the pillars right, when pillars are habits and not emotional drivens, emotionally destroyed, life becomes a living purpose and starts to shape a personal, divinely designed plan. And that's key to understand, because why divine plan is, it becomes too out there. It doesn't feel like you're attached to it. So you know, you look in this blessing, that blessing, what the, but when you start to build a life of habits that are built and structured on following these pillars, there's an automatic energetic correcting that happens with your whole being, and the process of how the environment works with you now, where you become more influential in the environment rather than being manipulated by the environment. Huh? So when you become more influential to yourself and more influential to the environment now starts to change its languages towards you and starts to create that pathway of legacy for you. So in the amount of times, even on personal journeys, the amount of people that I've introduced to this unconsciously through the years, because this is really the core of what I practice, what I do, but now I've just organized it into a system so it can be easily explained if you want it, if you want of the best, the best of the way to say it. So in that sense, when we look at my first book that I came out with, Way of Life, 52 chapters, 773 pages, condensed knowledge, and it was, you know, powerful knowledge. But still, within that body of work, and it's a beautiful piece of work, a lot of people have read it and say, boy, Brother Tarun, that book is so amazing. I wish you could even write more in the book and expand, because you opened up this and you touched on that and you made that link there. I could see it. And it really, you know, how did you manage to, but you know, more? And I can understand that drive for more, because you're looking for, how does all this knowledge come into a fixed system that I can say, okay, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there, that goes there. So the in-between piece of work that works along with the teachings that I'm going to be sharing with the principles of the pillars of the system, the Making Champion system. The backbone, you would find everything in the Way of Life, but there's a practical manifesto that I'm calling it, the sustainable manifesto that will work with the program. So the manifesto will give you all dietary stuff, exercise stuff, loads of insight stuff, and a variation of things that you can pick and choose and say, okay, yeah, I like that. I want to add that into my routine. I like that. I think I can manage that. Yeah, that looks good. I think I'll try cooking that. And even the way how the menus are presented, the information, it's not just like a cook menu. There's a specific reason why each plate or each dish or each smoothie has been built. There's a name, the ingredients listed out, letting you know exactly what that ingredient is doing in your body. So it's a deep manifesto, even down to the exercises, the meditation. I've gone down to highlight what each step is doing to the body, the psyche, the metaphysical body. Again, the 7 pillars, you could even take it to the extent of understanding that they even resonate with the 7 chakra system and understanding the physical, metaphysical, and the non-biological aspects of the chakras. That all fits in within it. The hermetic principles, the 7 main there's 12, but the key 7 that resonate, the first 7, it's a whole system that I've looked at from an outside point and said, okay, this can come together quite well. And if people can understand the system, they can make fast progress and step through uh, growth rate, growth rates at a much faster, steadier pace. So the key thing that when it comes to addressing, stepping into systems and adapting is looking at self-defiance. Self-defiance. One of the major things that I came across, even when I was working in the UK at Pen Pamsies in Brixton, and Basil, he taught me about consultations and how to have conversations with customers. And it was a real eye-opening experience, a real eye-opening experience. Because one of the things that I found that everyone I spoke to, even when I spoke to hydration, you know you're supposed to drink 2 liters of water, or even a liter of water. They go, I know, but some people say they don't even like water. I'm like, how could you not like water? My brain's just pew. And you can see in their face that they're actually saying a very oxymoronical thing that is completely off the retro scale and damaging to their health. And they, yeah, I know, but I know I should, but I don't know why. I just know I should. But so what is that programming going on? What is that? Well, this is the thing. In science, in psychology, there it's already labeled, it's already there, it's in the book. There's a thing that's known as acrasia. Acrasia. And this is the term where crazy comes from. And acrasia, again, is looking at neurological behavior in the brain and the mind and seeing what's happening, because they can see when critical thinking is deployed energetically. They can see how critical thinking affects the whole psyche and the brain and this and that, and the activity of the front lobe section, the chemicals that starts to come into play, what affects the reticular activating system, what triggers fear, fight or flight, what triggers fear, what triggers anxiety, what triggers, they can see these things and how it works in the brain. And they can see when critical thinking comes into play. And they can see the habit of the lack of critical thinking coming into play and what that is actually causing in the system, in the neurological system. And this thing is called acrasia. And what do you call it? The symptoms of acrasia is when someone is acting against their better judgment. I know what I should do, but I don't do it. It's a condition. It's and it's clearly labeled as a. Now, this is the thing. It can change, but the secret or the concept of changing it is not taught, because that same illness that is spiraling way out of control, that's the real pandemic. This is why you can't even get good staff to work. This is why worklessness is the new in thing, where let me see how I can make as much money doing the least amount of effort, the least. You know, I should make money because I look good. So this a crazier thing is when you're working against or acting against your better judgment. I know what I should do, but I don't do it. And what that reinforces is a thing called intention action gap. You form a real intention, but it doesn't convert into a behavior. So there's this crash loop, it's like reset. And the thing is, the effect that is actually making, it's so rewarding to the concept of attention, whether it's good attention, bad attention, whatever. The reward system at your peril, even if it feels bad, there's much more juice out of it, out of that loop happening, than you actually grabbing hold of your critical thinking and changing the program. So it's almost like you've got to take control of critical thinking to get back into self-regulation. Now, without critical thinking, with acrasia going mad, with intention action gap, you know, I'm going to take out the bin. Yeah, I'll do it in a minute. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, I'll do it. And the thing is, how you do anything is how you do everything. Everything starts to take on more stress on the ability for you to actually act now. Procrastination is killing you. So self-regulation failure kicks in. And what happens is that you telling yourself all kinds of things comes as a part of a rationalization program, that you're motivating yourself into a reasoning or a self-licensing, giving yourself permission to delay what it is you're supposed to do. There is satisfaction in this loop. And in science, this is known as acrasia. You break it down to modern day languages, you're going crazy because you're acting against your better judgment. And this is ultimately leading to the roots of procrastination, the idea of excuse making. And that excuse making is now based on emotional regulation and justification. The internal dialogue, I'll do it later. I need to be in the right mood. I'll do it better tomorrow, isn't random. It is often lower feelings of guilt and shame, low anxiety, restoring a sense of autonomy. I've spoken about these things. I've referred it to the map of consciousness. And it's a process of protecting your self-image, because most people don't like to get embarrassed on their weakest athletes, even though they're displaying them out for everybody to see. Yeah, I know my breath stinks, just don't mention it to anyone. Yeah, I know I'm moving off, just don't make a big deal about it. In fact, pamper me. In fact, love me while I'm off. But even while I don't love myself, I've got no concept of life's optimum vibratory energy. But love me. The whole thing becomes oxymoronical. So the scientific phrasing under that is rationalization, post hallucination. Yeah, reasons that make a choice feel justified, motivated reasoning, thinking biased towards a conclusion you want. This is all listed under acrasia. Cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance reduction, reducing the discomfort of I value this and I'm not doing that by changing the narrative. You know how much people listen to that in an argument and they change the conversation completely. Right, let's not even go into it. It's deep on these things that I'm talking about. So ultimately, when we're looking at what's really happening, is we're suffering these short-term relief concepts and it's becoming a habitualized pattern in our state. We're practicing these things. And in this practicing of our emptiness, our life becomes empty. Our expression becomes empty. Our process of reach, our process of being, our process of energy, our process of purpose all becomes empty. And your nervous system suffers dramatically. So energetically, it's like you dwindle your way out of life. You dwindle your way out of life. The star that you were supposed to shine loses interest in the whole process. So when bad habits are formed, they create a vicious circle and a vicious cycle. And these things start to damage the neurological aspect of how the brain works. It starts to not only just damage the brain. They say that once you get drenched in bad habits, even the body, the cells, they don't know how to take on information of good programming. Like even good medicine won't even work in the body. And the deepest thing to understand on a highest esoteric level is that it all begins with the quality of your thinking. And the quality of your thinking guided towards the principles of the 7 pillars on each 3 levels. Now, so you can literally address each pillar in under 30 seconds. A minute if you want. 2 minutes. You can address all these pillars, 21 pillars. Now, if you gave the 21 pillars 2 minutes each, that's a 45-minute meditation in the morning. Wrap up, all done. You're ready to fly for the day. You could break it up in 2 or 3 sections. But you start in the morning, you start the day as you mean the day to end. You end the day as you mean the day to start. You start to put these circadian rhythms into practice. And you start to realize that it's not about focusing on bad habits. It's about installing good habits. When you install good habits, you overwrite the taste for the bad habits. Most of the times you said you're fighting, I have to get rid of this habit. I have to get rid of it. No, no. You have to build pillars because outside of building pillars, your process of habit will take you to your deathbed. Most habits are hard to break. And this is the thing, even right across the medical field, they don't teach you how to install good habits. They tell you, they even cancer cases, it's a drama. It's a drama. You know, you go for cancer treatment and they're giving you biscuits after. They're giving you biscuits. Sugar. They're giving you biscuits. No. The thing that's killing you, they're giving you sugar, refined sugar, right after you come out of chemo or whatever. No conscientious act on changing or installing pillars that develop new habits. Because without pillars, you can't build good habits. With pillars, it helps to create this construct to build good habits. With the pillars, you can build a good life. With the pillars, you build structure that you're not running and burning yourself out and trying to catch up with yourself or catch up with your past, your present, and your future in one go. You're moving smoothly for a system, and the system is not, you're not trying to rise to everything. You're falling and relying on your system that is supporting you. So you need a system that helps you to build habits, that supports a routine, that helps to forge that personal divine plan. It is all built from the system you start with. So this is going to be a fabulous journey of understanding or making champions this 2026. I'm so excited. I'm ready. So the first one next week, I'm really going to be focusing on hydration. That's the key chapter for the whole week. Hydration on the making champions. And I'm not just going to be talking about, oh, you just got to drink 2 liters of water. No, there's so much things to understand about water, from the alchemic side all the way through to how you treat water before you drink it. Understanding the memory capacity of water. If you're drinking disturbed water, that will make you disturbed in your body. The water carries its own life force, and if you respect the life force of the water, that life force would respect your shell and help that shell stand and perform stronger, better, more in tune with your finer faculties. But if you just drink water, son, you just drink water, son, and so. If you got a bad relationship with water, you will have a bad relationship with life. So I'm going to be going into every pillar thoroughly, and it's going to go really deep, and I'm looking for you all to come along and join me. So there's a manual that you could get right now, part 1, to understand the 7 levels of health and how we're going to be following practices and so forth. You can sign up and grab the manual and become a part of the Making Champions list, the Making Champions Inner Sanctum list. And for those, I will be doing some special sessions for those that I know that are really serious about making themselves a champion, is really out to make a difference to themselves and to the world around them. So I don't want to get caught in a space where I'm casting pearls to swine. So, and I mean that sincerely, in terms of just like throwing out energy that people are not going to use. So it is a lot of information, and I'm going to give the best that I can, but I know where I'm going to have to draw the line and say, okay, Inner Sanctum crew becoming no, sir, and I take this thing serious. Come, make we talk deep, make we going deeper. Because even now, I'm going to try and keep these videos to no longer than 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Is like, ring the alarm, time for ease up. Because I know what time, and time is really precious. We don't have a lot of time, and we have to be really mindful. So with that, I want to thank you all for taking the time for watching this video. And again, like I said, for more information, for signing up for the package, and even within the package on jumping on board, there's a free 30-minute consultation that we can talk on any of the pillars that are really of your concern. If there's something that you really want to really drill down in and into, and you really want some help, I am glad to give you that. There's a 30-minute consultation offer there as well. and I won't grumble if it goes to 45 minutes. So it's just an opportunity to help give back to the community. So this is definitely a community initiative support program, and I'm looking forward to meeting you all and join me on this journey of making champions. On that note, I'm going to leave it right there. Information is down in the description, and I will say, stay bold, stay beautiful, and stay on the best side of being you. Stay making yourself a champion. Get ready for growth. I share.